Hey y'all, my name is Tamra Andress. I am your Fit and Faith podcast host. I'm pumped to be here. Just me, no words, no scripts, no intros, no outros. I love authenticity. I hope to breed vulnerability. And I usually do this alongside another dreamer, mover, shaker, entrepreneur, passionista is what I love to call them. If you're a dude, then a dude. But I am loving just coming together in community with other people to share their high and low stories, to share their journeys to comeback, because I believe ultimately that's where God would have us. He would have us on the mountaintop. And even though we learn a ton in the pit and in the valley, God would want us right now, especially in this season of life, in this time of our culture, to shine. And so here I am. I want to teach you how to shine. I want to be alongside you when you get your glow. I want to catapult you into your calling, whatever that is. So this isn't a fitness podcast. This is not a religious banter, though we preach Jesus all day long. And this is not just about nutrition or health or wealth, though I like some green, and I know you do too. It's not okay for us to not be okay with talking about all of these things in unison. You guys, we don't just need a mental health podcast. We don't just need a fitness podcast. We don't just need a religious, spiritual podcast. It needs to blend. This is what Fit and Faith is all about. It's all about creating alignment, connectivity. It's about pursuing your wholeness and claiming it over your life and over the lives of the loved ones that you have around you in your community. So thank you for tuning in. I would love to get to know you more. You can like, review, subscribe, whatever it is. Send me an email, DM me. It's me. I have an amazing team alongside me, but you guys are getting me for now. So enjoy. I'm so pumped to have a coffee conversation with you, is what I'd love to call them. Don't have my coffee right now, but I have it in my system, as you can see. All the love. Let's do this together and keep going for your dreams, y'all. All right, you all, we're so excited to be here. This is the Roy3ls, and I'm so excited to introduce how I came in contact with them, because I believe in something called meet cutes. And I think it's all like God ordained when we come into contact with people who have a like-hearted, like-minded kind of pursuit of wholeness. And I was totally not in my right frame of mind when Steph saw me. I was like wearing all my Fit and Faith gear, and I had just been cleaning for like 4 hours. I was with my son. I was like in the midst of like, just discombobulated brain space. And she's like, "Oh, what's your hat?" And I'm like, not in a mood to chat about it. And then she was like, "I was just..." Instagram was like an agent, and I was like, "Whoa, this is a first for me." I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to respond, because I'm used to like just chatting it up with the gals, right? And so I kind of just like taken aback. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be new. And so took a conversation with their agent, Doran. Is that how I say it?
Yeah.
Okay. And so
good job, by the
way. He was so great. We had an amazing conversation, talked for like an hour, so much overlap in like our personal journeys, and come to find out, like halfway into the conversation, he's like, "So the reason I take such an investment in these women is because they're my daughters." And I'm like, "Oh, we didn't wait for 30 minutes to find that out." He was like, "Daddy, like eagle hawk, like what is happening and who are you?" I'm like, So it was a really cool conversation. So tell me about kind of your journey into, singing, into wanting to express your faith in such a way. That's probably a really heavy, deep question to start out with, but I think it's a good one.
It is a good one. So we kind of started thanks to our brother, really. He kind of got us into all of this.
Okay.
He was diagnosed with leukemia, and music was his way of basically just healing, of processing through everything that he went through, and just walking through that. So we kind of got involved doing music through him. And it was really awesome. We got to do some amazing events with the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We got to go down to Disney World, and we also got like more intimate time with the kids in hospitals of like bedside therapy, and that kind of sparked inside each and every one of us just that not just love for music, but a heart for ministry, because being with people and seeing what God could do if you just are willing and go, kind of stirred this within us. So we just helped him with that, and then he is a new dad. So he just had a baby, and he kind of transitioned into producing and kind of just doing things that where he could be at home more.
Sure.
And us girls were like, man, we love songwriting, and we love like being able to do ministry. And that's kind of how how God birthed Royals. It was really natural, actually, because we each were songwriting and had these interests, and what God was laying on our hearts we would talk about, and come to find out they were in line and just beautifully in sync.
Like all going the same direction, like the same that speed and everything.
And so that's really how God birthed Royals. He, there were 3 things that we felt like he told us to target. And that was to target mindsets. And the things that he wanted us to target were who you are, whose you are, and the family that you belong to. And so within our music, like that is just really heavy that people see that of who they are, that they get a better understanding of whose they are, and that they do belong to a family. It's the family of God.
That's awesome.
It's kind of our heartbeat.
Yeah, so amazing. And the cool part about that, obviously, really being able to speak to sisterhood, and not really knowing the depth of sisterhood until I came into my faith. And I have a sister, but we were never like super close because of her age and just very different people. And it wasn't until she had kids that we were able to kind of merge into more of a friendship. But prior to that, I was always yearning for that. And even in my girlfriend group, because I wasn't in my faith, I didn't know the like experience that sisterhood really was intended for. And so kind of like coming into my identity and really being able to be authentic with who I am and knowing myself was the first opportunity for me to really come into a deep friendship with other women. And so it's been such a journey over the last like 4 years really to going deeper with people than I ever had in the past. And it's really, I believe, an expression of who God wants us to be. And through those sisterhoods and through those deep friendships, he shows different parts of who he is. And so I think that that's so powerful for women and for men, really, because I think regardless if it's a sisterhood or it's a brotherhood, it's knowing who you are and his identity in you that really brings this light and this air of there's not competition, and you just get to be who you are, be yourself. And there's no better freedom than that.
I love how you said that too. I've actually been reading this book called How People Grow. And it was just actually talking about the growth process and how the first step in like growing into who God has called you to become is connection. And it's not just connection with him, it's connection with the people around you. That's going to help you grow and become that person. And so that's really awesome.
It definitely overlaps. Thank you. So let's hear from you, Steph. You have been quiet. tell me about like your journey in that, and like obviously you guys being a family. I know there's more of you. And so how are you rooted in your faith since like birth, or tell me about that journey?
So our parents are first generation Christians. They both grew up non-Christian, from non-Christian homes. They both were living that life. And when they first got married, they started having kids, and about like 3 kids into it, I think, they were like, we need to get our kids some religion. Like, they need to have some religion. So they started going to this church on a Wednesday night thing, and they were going to kind of be like, all right, drop our kids off here, leave. But the people were like, you got to stay if your kids are here. So they ended up being like, okay, biting the bullet. They found a class that was married together, the only one. And it was, what was it?
Christian boot camp.
Christian boot camp. And basically it was led by the sweetest old couple ever. And just probably the perfect people to encounter them at that time in their life, because I mean, our mom's a little fireball. Our dad is very like strong, and just like they were not going to be easy people to get through. But they just, in the gentleness and humility of Christ, just came in, and through that class they ended up getting saved. So they call them their spiritual parents.
Of course.
So they're like our grandparents.
That's amazing.
But that's kind of where our faith began. Because from there, they just were on fire for God. And I mean, they were pursuing it with everything. They really took to heart training your child up in the way they should go. And they have done an amazing job doing that.
So
and invested their whole entire lives into it. And so, all of us from a really young age were exposed to that and made that decision. And that's kind of where that began. But then for us coming to this place, about 4 years ago, we started full-time RVing.
Okay. Yes.
Not planning on it.
Not
Just
at all.
like we were moving from Michigan to Nashville, Tennessee, because my dad's business was out of there, obviously, and he just needed to be down there to get everything, going. And
so we're really close family, so that was like,
we're like, all right, guess all of us are going. So we all go down there. We just got a camper. We're like, we'll camp for a while, kind of look around the area. And we ended up finding out about this lifestyle of just traveling, and we were like, you know what, that's kind of cool. We got really interested in it. Well, that summer that we were in Nashville, spring actually, it was 2016, and I had come down with this awful migraine. Like, it just was nonstop. I couldn't get on top of it with anything. It lasted for 3 days. And, eventually my parents were just like, all right, we got to take you to the hospital. Like, we don't know what's wrong. And I woke up the next morning and it was gone. So we're like, okay, cool, I guess. And so I went for a run. And the next thing I remember, I'm looking at the emergency room, and as we're driving up to it.
Oh, wow.
So I had ended up having a seizure. And my sister Destini had come up on me and found me laying along the road. And they did scans and blood work and everything, and they found out I had a brain tumor. So at that point, it was kind of like, okay, wow, that puts life into perspective for you. And thankfully, it has been a journey that hasn't had chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, nothing like that. I still have it. It's still cancerous and active, but we're just monitoring it because it's just sleeping, basically.
Wow.
So.
And how old were you when that was discovered?
I was 17.
17?
Yeah. Oh, I was turning 17. I was 16. I was turning 17. But
Goodness.
So that kind of started us on this journey of going, okay, yes, we will do this full-time traveling. Let's just seize the day and let's do this. And we ended up finding this huge ministry in it of just traveling around and seeing the people who are in these campgrounds. Oh, there's a whole community of people who just live in campgrounds and do this. And it's just a whole unreached people group almost.
Interesting.
Where there's nobody there with them, because everyone's always coming and going.
Sure.
So we really found a place where we could express the love of God to these people and invite them into our family. We do Taco Tuesday, just basically inviting them to our dinner table, just having fun, showing them what it means to be part of the family.
Wow.
And then I think that's really where Royals came out of, was that realization of, wow, everywhere we go, there's these people who don't know what it's like, who don't know the love of God in a family. And we really just wanted to invite people into that. We really wanted to share that with the world.
Good.
So.
And definitely just hearing from different people's stories and their life, it really helps you get outside of yourself.
Absolutely.
And your own, just get outside of the things that you yourself will walk through, you see from a different perspective, and that's really where a lot of our songs, and the mindsets too of writing to loss, writing, because we walked through that with people now, writing to anxiety and writing to fear, and writing in a way that people will be able to understand it, because not everyone's in a place where you can say, oh, Jesus got this all. They're not there yet. So you got to be able to meet them where they're at, like Jesus did. Meet them where they're at and direct them to where he wants them to be.
That's so good.
That's kind of our heart too, just behind writing even.
because me and Stefanie, Destini did a lot more of the music stuff like when we were younger.
Yeah.
But me and Stefanie, like, we did like worship team stuff and like with our brother and like backup vocals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, and we've always done ministry. Like our whole family's just always been like, ministry is our life. Like that is like who all Christians are called to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, so it's like it's always been a part of us. But like after traveling and like going in different cultures, like even the U.S. has so many different cultures.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Oh yeah.
If
I
you go
mean,
to like
city
Texas
is, like,
culture, is like a whole country itself. The tacos.
Yes.
God bless
Texas.
Yeah. But even like within our country, we've noticed like wow, there's so many different cultures. Like, but within these cultures, like the need is still the same.
Yeah.
There's still, like she said, like anxiety, pain, loss, like all of these things that are still like, and a yearning for like a belonging and a yearning for just like that emptiness that only God can fill.
Yeah.
And so that was where we all kind of started writing. Like I started writing and for myself, and I didn't know why. I was like, why am I writing? Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not even doing music. Like,
so cool.
But I was, and God just kind of like. God, of course, sparked it, and he was already like way ahead of us. We were the last to know.
So good.
So when it clicked in our head, we were like, "We're doing this right now.
Good.
Like this is like exact. It was clear."
It was so funny. Like the day we decided we are a band, like we're doing this.
Yeah.
We went and did a photo shoot
that day.
And that day talked about a name, and we're like, okay, and this is just where we're going from here.
So good. Okay, so explain the name. So Royals is the name, but you've got the 3 instead of the A. So explain what that means.
Well, our tagline is kind of like Royals by blood.
Okay.
And not only because we're like blood sisters,
Sure.
but because like because of the blood of Christ.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Absolutely.
that's like the promise. But yeah, the 3 is for us 3 sisters.
Right.
And obviously the 3 of the Trinity.
Yep.
Like Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Yep.
And the name Royals came from that, like when we were talking about like the whole family thing. Like man, like there's just like everyone wants to be part of a family. And that whole like part of us that was just like, man, there is a family though, like that everyone like has a place, like you have a place at the table, and like there's God's just waiting, you know, like. And so for us, we were like, there's a kingdom, like that these people and all of us can be a part of. And so for us, like we just really thought like that was like a powerful thing, and like also like the crown of like a royalty, like what makes people royal isn't like a crown. You can't just put a crown on someone and be like, oh, you're like a part of the royal family. It's a bloodline. And so for us, like
that's good.
The blood of Jesus is that bloodline, and he has paid for it, and so that is the blood that has been shared, and so that's why it can be Royals by blood, because we all are covered by the blood of Jesus.
Like so good. That's like the whole concept of like, you know, the one race, like everyone bloodline goes back to Adam and Eve. So expressing that to people and knowing, even with all of our differences and all of our belief systems and everywhere that we've been, ultimately we've all been rooted in the same exact place. And I think that that is such a beautiful, powerful explanation, and it allows people, like, without even understanding, like, they feel connected. And so that's the part of the family piece that I think is so broken, and you hear often of, like, all the fragmentation, and I come from a huge family of, like, just lots of cousins, aunts, uncles, the whole thing. And I remember feeling at times like completely isolated in that. And I think it was because there was just this brokenness of identity and no one really knowing whose they were. And therefore it was just this like pursuit of one. Like I'm pursuing achievement or success or my own idea of what the American dream is supposed to be. And meanwhile, nobody was falling in line with what God wanted from us and where he had us go. And just like you said, like he was ahead of me, and he was ahead of me even when I was walking down the path that wasn't where he intended for me to go. But he was calling my name the whole time. And so to be in this space where I now get to cultivate a home and a family that is founded in with the blood of the Lord as like our covering and our like ultimate identity is something I never knew to the extent. And my parents would affiliate as Christian and say that, you know, we said prayers and things at night, but I never understood like the heartbeat of Jesus until I too went to a Wednesday night service with my husband, and they called us in, and we were family out the get-go. Like they just opened the doors, and I remember just like seeing these people who were just like these big just big, vibrant personalities
Yes.
that were able to have such an air of gentleness. And I think that that's such a beautiful representation of who God is, because they were just open arms, like, come here, put your head on my bosom. I don't know who you are or why you're crying, but I love you anyway.
Yeah.
So really cool. So tell me, there's one of the songs that your dad shared with me. I don't know that it's even out yet. Is the Quality Lady?
Yes.
I was grooving in my car, and I was like, this is so good. So that one's coming out. When is that coming out?
Actually, next week, Friday.
It is.
Yes.
Perfect timing. Yay. Well, I'm like so just in love with the concept of it. From a perspective of traveling, I don't know exactly what your age brackets were prior to going on the road. How do you feel like that song got life brought to it? And for the generation of girls who are just struggling in that pursuit of identity, social media comparison, just a trap. I feel like it's a huge trap of the enemy.
Oh yeah.
Speak to it. Share your heart. It's so good.
Yeah.
This song was, go ahead.
Yeah, so this song was interesting. It ended up coming about in about the time of an hour.
Wow.
Like, it just was, we were in the studio and we were like, let's write a song for women.
Yeah.
Like, let's write this song that really is an anthem.
Yeah,
for women.
it is.
Like, and a real woman.
Yeah.
Because there's so many pictures out there of so many different things. I mean, all over social media, just plastered all these women who, it's so sad, but it's just like they're grasping for their worth somewhere. They're grasping to be recognized as worthy. And in doing that, they're devalued.
The compromise.
They're compromising, and they're really losing hold of what makes them really quality ladies. And that's only found in your true identity, which is in Christ Jesus. And when we kind of thought about that, when we were writing, we're like, what's a quality lady? Like, who can we, like, who's a person that we're just like
instant.
Yeah, and it was just instantly, we're like, our mom was like, that's the most quality lady in the world. That just
so cool.
She's just such a great example of it.
Yeah.
I mean, and so that's kind of where that came out of.
Yeah, so like the first line, it talks about how I can't take credit for the way my mama raised me.
Yeah.
Like I point at her and people say I'm amazing.
That's
What a woman. Like those are like the first lines, and the reason we wrote those is because we're like, this song is like, because originally we had a write that was scheduled and it got canceled, but I think the reason for that was, like you said, I don't believe in coincidence. Like I believe the song was meant to be wrote. And so we were just like coming from a real spot. We're like, what makes a woman like a quality woman? Like obviously when we were like, oh, it's her mom. And when we we're looking at the example of her mom, there's something when women when you have an identity that's strong, you don't have to go around and you don't have to make other people believe that. You are who you are, and because you're confident in that, that speaks for itself.
That's so true.
And you don't have to compromise. And I don't know. There's just so many emotions that this pulled from. It was so I don't know, personal with our mom.
Yeah, it's so good. That's so awesome. She must feel so grateful. I can't imagine if my kids fast forward 15 years write a song about me, I'll be like, oh my gosh, that's so good. I mean, it's what any mom would hope for out of their stewarding of what God has given them. And that's exactly what you guys honored her in, which is so beautiful. That's really neat. So I'm a part of a group of women locally who are cultivating a conference in the fall for girls, middle school and high school.
Yes.
Something we want to talk about, and I'll just go ahead and talk about it now.
Okay.
So it's called the Rise Up Conference, and when I was it brought to the table what the concept was going to be, and just calling girls into their identity and allowing them to rise up into who they are and be able to go into schools and into all of these places that teens are hanging out, and to do so with such confidence in that identity, and not fear that there's going to be backlash or ridicule or a need to compromise because they own their purity because of they're married to God, right? And so I've been in such a vision in worship myself where married and have 2 kids and all of that, and I felt called like down the aisle to Jesus himself, and it was one of the most beautiful visions during worship that I've ever had. It allowed me to like truly own being dressed in white, and I like want that so desperately for our girls to just have the ability to get dressed the day of their wedding and like completely own the bridegroom of who Jesus is in the church, and also for their spouse, like for that connectivity to take place that was stripped of me in my childhood, and wanting it so desperately for girls. So this quality lady, like I want to see these women gracing the earth everywhere, and not Super Bowl Sunday experiences, right? And I didn't even watch it. I've literally just heard and saw the rampage that happened on social media. Like I had to turn it off. I let my kids stay up late, and then I had to turn it off halfway. And I'm like, it was an interesting thing. A pastor preached from the pulpit last week. He said, as a Christian, why do you know how bad it was? Why do you know that? You shouldn't know that. Like you should have immediately turned it off and not have watched or the debacle of what was occurring and rise above, right? And so these girls who don't sometimes have an opportunity to turn it off because of everything else going on around them and being submerged into a culture that is constant inputs. How do we teach that concept of quality lady to a 15-year-old girl?
Yeah, right. Sure. Well, it's really kind of sad because you're looking at, the Super Bowl. You look at that, and these are women who still are at that point in their life where they're 50 years old and still don't know their worth. And so, looking at that just really is sad and heartbreaking because no one ever told them. And so I think that is what is really powerful about what you want to do, is because you're going to be somebody and you're telling them. And I know firsthand it, and it's why we wrote this song about our mom, because she told us. And they need that confirmation. They need people coming behind them going, hey, rise above, rise above, rise above. Hey, I'm going to walk with you, and I want to show you, and I'm going to do the best that I can to be an example for you, but at the end of the day, you have got to choose this for yourself. At the end of the day, you've got to go to Jesus for yourself. Because I can try the best that I can, but I'm going to fail you. And being that voice and being that encouragement, because we do live in a very confusing time. It's so confusing. No one believes in any absolute truth. And, for us, we want to be a voice of truth. And we want to be that voice of Jesus in their ears, speaking to those things for them. Because we had people in our lives that did that for us. And I don't think we realized how much our words hold power. Because they do. They're very powerful. Just giving someone a compliment. God kind of gave me this visual that when you speak something true or good or kind over someone, it is like you've been wrapped in the sweetest perfume, and you don't want to take your shirt, you don't want to take your clothes off, because you just want to keep smelling it and smelling it and smelling it. And I think that is just one of the most powerful ways that you really can come alongside, is just through your words of reaffirming them and affirming them, so they feel secure and they're not looking for in other places.
So good. And affirming them as to what God says about it, because that really does come. That's the root of it. Purity. I mean, it's the root of everything in our lives. It comes down to what God says about it, because if we do it for if we think, okay, I'm going to be pure for my sake. That's great. But guess what? You can compromise for yourself. And you are weak at times, and you will fail at times. And so that standard of purity you set for yourself, for you, you're probably going to fail. And if you say, okay, well, I'll do it for my future husband, or if you're a guy, future wife, that's great. But you are still only you. What you have to do it for is for your King, and for the one who is in you, living through you, his spirit in you, strengthening you, and you have to do it for that reason. And so looking into the Word and seeing what he says about that, and what you're called to live up to as a Christ-loving person, as a new creation, that's where that standard is, because it doesn't fall. Ever.
I love that too, because what you're saying, like the standards of God are much higher. And for equality, like when you think of that, like you think of someone who's strong and like who's confident, but in order to do that, you have to be able to walk. Like you have to be able to like be the one to put the work into it. Like you're not just going to, everything can't be given to you, or you can't buy it, you can't wear it. Like it's something you have to work for. So it's when you're working for something and maybe you do fall short of the standards of God. Well, it's by going to God and being able to recognize that He has grace for you and being able to be picked back up and keep walking. It's picking back up and not keeping, like looking back and like going back to that person that, you know, oh, I was that. Like those things that people told me not to, I was that. Exactly.
Oh, I failed. I'm a failure. No, you made a mistake. You're not a mistake. Exactly. You made one, but that's not who you are. Because then, who you are stems from whose you are.
And who He is. And He is by no means a failure. And so I think that is, there's just so much so much goodness in everything that we're talking about, and wanting that for, you know, even these strangers that you're meeting in these different RV parks. I mean, it's so. Please tell me, how big is this RV? It has to be like a double decker. Do you guys all share beds? No.
So, we have a few.
A few RVs.
Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. We're a caravan. See this thing.
So Destiny's actually married.
Okay.
So she and her husband have their own. But also like our brother. So there's 10 kids in our family. I don't know if
we haven't said that. I knew that.
So yeah, there's 10 kids in our family, and so some of the olders have been are married and they have their own. Me and Stefanie are still in the house. So we're in our own too, but so yeah, there's like 4 or 5 campers.
Yeah, that is so
We do.
That is so crazy. So did you guys homeschool?
Yes.
We did most of our life. And are your siblings who are married who have kids? Is there only one of them?
Yes.
Okay, that's the baby one.
Oh my gosh.
Is it a boy or a girl?
She didn't.
Oh my gosh, it's probably spoiled rotten.
She is the cutest thing. Like seriously, she's my favorite niece. And I can say that now because she's the only one. But yeah, it's like every day I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's like a Gerber baby.
Yeah,
like just a little doll that you're just like.
She only like smiles and she's like, oh my gosh, perfect.
Oh my gosh, it's so neat. That's so cool to be able to do that. So where all have you been?
So we're from Michigan originally, right? And we moved to Nashville, so that was like the first stop. But after that, we actually went over to the Indian reservation in North Carolina. So Cherokee, North Carolina. And
I'm part Cherokee Indian.
So am I. I don't know if you
so
are
we. I love it.
But yeah, we spent a summer over there.
Wow.
And that was like a really cool experience, like just being in, again, that culture. Like I couldn't believe like how true they are to like they have an Indian, like they have like a council, like a tribal council. Like they actually have like, they stick to their traditions. Like, and I never would have known that even that was in like America. Like I was like, oh, we were still here, like that's crazy.
So cool.
Yeah, it was like a really cool experience, like, and just being out in the mountains, and beautiful. So we went over there and like met with so many of just the local Native Americans, and it just felt like it brought me back to our roots. So I'm like, wow, like I actually feel like
empowered.
So that was a really cool experience, learning a bit of heritage. But then also we went to actually here. So that was our third stop, was actually here. And we spent like a year here, a little over a year, and
kind of loved it.
Kind of loved it. We're back. So we love the ocean and the beach, but also the people that we've met here. That God has just like brought our paths together, and again, we were reunited because after Virginia Beach, we actually went down to Texas. And we spent like a year and a half there, like in 2 different places. So we moved in Texas because it's its own country. It's so large. So we went to places. So we actually experienced San Antonio. We do actually a lot of traveling, like when we go somewhere, we stay like a year, but then we do a lot of traveling.
Like weekends.
So we try to see like everything. But yeah, so we were in San Antonio, and then we also went over to like the Hill Country area, which is my personal favorite in Texas. It's beautiful. But then we went back to Nashville for a season, and that's when when God told us about the mission of Roy3ls, and that's when we started. So Roy3ls has only been a band for just about a year.
Okay.
Like, yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
we're like babies.
Yeah,
But
that's amazing.
yeah, so it's only been about a year, but then God brought us back over here.
Okay.
He called us back over here for a while. For specific reasons, and we're just so excited to be back because we love Virginia Beach.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's been kind of like the trail.
Yeah, it's amazing. And there,
Big old move.
yeah, you did. You really did. But there are so many more places to go, which is incredible. So what do you foresee is ahead? Like, what vision casting have you done together through this ministry in your heart, in your family's, amazing dynamic? What do you hope to do?
Yeah,
we really want to. Well, we are actually getting booked for this year. Doing more live shows. Last year was a whole brainstorming, dreaming year. Doing a lot of kind of the behind the scenes work of creating this ministry
and writing the songs for the missions. That we just really thought was cool.
So now we are just ready to share it with the world. Honestly, I mean, 5 years from now, we said we want to reach 5 million people with the gospel. And so I know that sounds like really crazy.
No, I'm a big dreamer. You can't surprise me. I'm never shocked.
But I mean, with just social media and everything and every way, we want to be doing, with people in person, being able to do hands-on ministry through this music, and whatever other doors God opens. We just really feel like He said, if you're obedient to me, I will get my favor is in this. And so we've tried, to be very obedient to whatever God is telling us to do within this ministry, and He really has been faithful, and doors have opened for us that shouldn't be open. And we just feel very, very blessed by it, and we just want to extend that blessing out to other people.
Honestly, this past year has really opened my eyes. I can't remember the scripture and where it's from, but the trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make a path straight. This whole past year, all throughout my life, I have seen God moving, and I've trusted Him, but this past year especially, I've seen Him use, I've seen Him really do that. When you trust in the Lord, He will make your path straight. You don't have to even know where the path is going. We don't know what every step is going to be.
What all
taking,
God has for us.
It's taking every moment and being God, where are you? Because I want to be where you are. And it's not that hard, to listen and to actually, when He opens those doors, we just walk in faith in it, because we're you're the one opening this, and so we're going to walk in faith. We don't know the outcome, we don't know the purpose, but it's been interesting this past year, and even seeing how true that has been for even just every little element of us coming to this point from our past as children, and the things we've gone through with Stefanie, there's so many things that individually we've all gone through, Stefanie with her brain tumor, that God has allowed things to happen to this point, so that preparing us for this mission that we had no idea was going to be, but has given us our own personal testimonies that can relate to other people, especially us together. One person can relate to a lot of different things, but together, all three of us, there's it's unlimited how many things that you can relate to, and just a testimony of God's faithfulness, and really trusting in every door He opens, being able to be okay, I know God is true because I've seen it. And that is just plain Jane. Can't deny testimony.
It's so true.
But anyway, He's really been growing me this past year, even just being wow, how faithful God is. Everything doesn't always feel good when you walk through the door, but you always know there's a purpose for why God has brought you to where you are.
Absolutely.
So,
and provision in that, even, which is so amazing. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6.
Yes.
And it's one of my favorite verses,
Yes.
so of course we would say it. That would make total sense. I want to, I don't even know what time, I could sit here and talk to you guys forever. It's amazing. I want to touch base on, because I know that you guys are more than just your music. And you guys have shared a lot about how you've come into the ministry and your heart behind that. And we have a bit of Stefanie's testimony. Tell me a little bit more about your all's journeys individually. You're married, so that's a fun connect right here. Tell me about meeting him, and does he think your family, what was that?
So we've actually known his family for a long time, many years.
Yeah, our parents knew their parents before, really all of us.
Okay.
So we've known them for a long time. We didn't really connect until high school, though.
Okay.
when our families would try to get together and everything, he's one of 8 boys.
Yeah.
So
we have lots of girls.
7 girls in our family. So when our families would get together, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we were like, you're crazy. And we don't know what to do now that we're here in your crazy house. So we're just going to hang out in the kitchen over here and listen to the adult conversations.
Awesome.
And I'm going to pretend like I'm not here at your house.
Right.
Yes.
Boys are wild. That is for sure.
Especially there.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I swear they got an extra dose, but they're all really amazing. I coming from a house full of girls, I was like, man, I don't know how this is gonna work.
Yeah.
Like me, being, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I love having so many brothers.
That's so cool.
They really are just so fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, we connected actually through fitness.
Oh, neat.
I was just really big into running and working out, and he was too. So in high school we connected, and that's a whole nother story that is probably really long story. But he ended up getting saved while we were dating, and God totally turned his life around. And when we moved down to Nashville, I kind of was like, we were dating. It's kind of gotten serious, but we had graduated at that point.
Yeah.
I was, wanting to pursue music.
Yeah.
So we moved, and he stayed in Michigan, and I was kind of like, well, this is either going to be a telltale sign, either he's going to go back to living how he was living before,
Yeah.
and this is just going to be done,
Mm-hmm.
or,
Yeah.
or I don't know what the best case scenario it would be. I guess get married.
Yeah. That's a good one.
So, about a month into it, he had it was good that he had that time alone with God and just pursued everything that he had. And shortly after, he ended up moving down, and shortly after that, we got engaged. And
Wow.
it's been really awesome just having that marriage aspect in our family too. Just we don't call people in-laws.
Sure.
Like, we call them brother or sister.
Okay.
And that's just how it is. Like,
Yeah.
my 7-year-old sister hasn't known life without Connor, my husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's been around like the whole time they're dating.
Yeah.
Like, my little sister's like 1 year old, so like they've been around.
Wow.
For a
Okay.
while, and it's kind of funny actually. She thought that I was married into our family.
Yeah.
Oh,
she thought Connor was ours.
that he was the brother.
Which they look a little bit more alike because our younger siblings, like all 5 of them, are blonde hair, like
Curly blonde
Yeah.
hair,
Blue
blue eyes,
eyes.
and my husband curly blonde hair, blue eyes. So she thought that he was her actual brother, and I
You're
was
like, hold on,
married in.
bloodline. Let me explain a second.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, it was kind of like I cried, she cried. We had this moment of like, no, but for real, like we're blood.
That's hysterical. Oh my god.
But yeah, he's really, really great, and we're both still super into fitness.
Yeah.
He holds me more accountable.
So what does he do for work?
Yeah, so he actually works at the park that we're at right now.
Okay.
But he also has a photography business.
Neat.
So
you
he does
can
a
do
lot
that.
of our
Nice.
social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
and
Which
things
is
like that.
beautiful, by the way. Go follow Roy3ls. So cool. All right, tell me a bit more about you.
So I like kind of like Stephanie said, my faith like was something that like I made lots of decisions as a kid. I was like, I didn't want to know a life apart from Christ. Like I always believed God was like God. And so I remember like making so many prayers at nighttime, being like, just make sure, God, like you're in my heart, right? So like I didn't have like a crazy transformation story other than just the fact that I know as surely as the sun rises, like my like hope in like God is God. Like so but I was always like kind of like a tomboy.
Yeah.
So I like was like in wrestling and
Cool.
gymnastics, like those were my sports, and I still love them. But like that was kind of my life as a kid, and I was like really like into like that kind of fitness. I've never liked just working out to like work out.
Sure.
I'm like I need like a physical challenge.
Right. That's
Like
so
I walk
good.
with my hands a lot still.
That's awesome.
Like that's kind of like my like. It was like my passion, and so like that's why it was like so like crazy to me when God was like music, because I was like we always sang, we always did like High School Musical stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like we always do those kind of things, but like
Okay, you're Vanessa,
Yeah.
and I'll be Gabriella.
That's great.
I'll be Troy.
Of course.
Yeah. So like anyway, like that was like my thing, and like I've always just like loved my siblings, but now like my life has been like really like I don't know, like just like dedicated to I guess like my siblings' relationships, my friends, and well they're my best friends.
Yeah.
And then like I've just kind of been doing music now. Like, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe this is like what I'm doing, but this is what God has brought me to. So yeah, awesome. I still love like pretty much any physical challenge. Like the last time we were here, I finally surfed for the first time, and I've always wanted to do that. So I was like, that was like an experience, and I'm hoping to do that again because slightly terrified of sharks. But when I'm in there, I'm like, I feel the water. It's okay. I'm not. I'm like, just don't think about it. Don't think about it.
Trust God.
Exactly. Like, this is how I'm gonna go out. And wow. Right. Like that I was supposed to. I have a win-win situation here.
Exactly.
Either get the wave or go to heaven. That's great.
So good. I was a gymnast for 16 years. So I love gymnastics.
Yes,
and I'm the same. Like if somebody is like, here's a physical challenge, I'm like, let's do this. Yeah. So you need to like look into doing some of the like athletic races, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like where it's more like there's like a bone frog race locally where you get to do like the rings and you're climbing walls, and so it's I can't run because gymnasts run from like here to there.
Oh my god.
So they're runners. They do I heard, and I'm like, I can't relate.
Me either. So I did my longest run like 2 weeks ago. It was 9 miles, and I was like, my mind is blown.
That's
like,
long.
Yeah, I was like, I still don't like it. Like I only do it because they have all this quality time. Like my mom is a marathon runner.
Oh yeah.
After 10 kids.
It's
like,
all this
they
time.
always do this time together.
All these talks.
And I'm like, I'm missing out. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, I just need to do it. I just need to run, even though I hate it.
Yeah.
I just need to do it because they're doing it, and I want to be with my my mom and my sisters. Like, I'm like, oh. So I started running. I still don't like it. Yeah. But it's really been pushing me. And I'm like one of those kind of people that I'm like, if it's something I think I can't do.
Right.
It's like I'll either just like not do it, but then I'll be like this point in my life where I'm like, nope, I gotta do it. I gotta do it.
Good.
And so I think that's the
changes.
thing.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah, totally relate.
That's so my whole family are marathon runners.
Okay.
Right?
So, oh my gosh.
I was just the person over here like hanging out. I'm like, I do not want to do this. I ran like a 5K, 3 miles.
Yes.
Just recently. Totally pissed myself.
Oh.
Like completely peed the whole time. Now mind you, I've had 2 kids, so I blame it on that. I could not control my bladder. It's like the most embarrassing thing. I'm like running across the line and I'm like
waddling across.
I'm peeing, and my girlfriend's like, it's okay. I'm like, no, I'm actually like full on peeing. And the photographer's there like, raise your hands, and I'm like, I can't.
Oh, raise your hands, I'm crossing my legs.
So I don't understand how marathon runners run marathons. Oh my gosh, that was only 3 miles.
Yes,
I'm like, I can't. There was porta potties right there, and I couldn't actually make it. So I admire them. We actually lived my whole life on the loop for the rock and roll half marathon. So we would go out to the front. My dad and mom would be running. I would cry every time I saw them because I know it's such a feat, and I could only run 50 yards. And so I was like, I'm so proud of it. So awesome. But I always I get this adrenaline rush when I see people doing anything that's like so difficult, and then about an hour later, I'm like, nope. Not for me.
I know, that's actually why I started. So they did this marathon, and they're like, I was there, like they were like getting all ready, they're like, we're athletes and stuff. I'm like, I haven't done gymnastics in like 2 years. I'm like, man, I miss it. Like I'm like, maybe I can be a runner. I'm like, I could totally do this right now. So like I made this whole post, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And then I was like, we did the first run, and I was like, that was only 2 miles. I don't think I can do it.
It's like the runner's high is like a thing.
Yes.
And I don't know how it's a thing. I can't get there.
Honestly, I think it's just all of the refuelers and like the Gatorade and everything.
Yeah, I think you just go a little crazy. Like you just lose it a little.
I can understand that.
That's only been 13 miles.
Might as well keep going.
Yeah, you can get it forever.
No.
So part of like Fit and Faith and like my heart for what I do is the connection of the mind, body, and soul.
Yes.
And being really conscientious of the fact that we're not separate parts of who we are.
Right.
And I feel like, especially in the culture that we live in, everything is very segmented.
Yes.
And we're expected, okay, here's the gym membership, here's the church, and here's the therapist.
Right.
And they don't intersect. And I don't know what kind of facility one day I'm going to create that's going to have all of them in one. But I realized during my own like spiritual growth that when I was going to the gym, it was more of a spiritual experience than it was me going for my body. And it was the first time in my life that was the case, because obviously I had done gymnastics and I had been a personal trainer for years, and boot camp style like exercise and very body focused, and yet none of it was ever done under the understanding of my body as a vessel and fueling it because I'm fueling it for the longevity of my life for the kingdom, rather than fueling it because I'm looking for a specific figure. And so when I started going to the gym with this mindset, obviously having to block out the soundtracks that the gyms are using. Also, I needed a quality lady in my head. And so like I had like realized at that point then the connectivity of the mind and how if I could connect all three of those simultaneously, it was like this sweet spot where I got a high. I was able to be like in this space of, oh my gosh, I understand my entire being at one time. And so like that's where I think the runner's high could be a space where spirituality could really come into play, where you have this mind that you're, you know, spending 4 hours with if you're running a marathon, 3 hours with, and not letting it go down these rabbit holes, but really being just focused in on the strength and the endurance and what God has given you in that moment to be able to pursue to the next mileage point, right?
I love that.
So it's been a journey, and I love sharing it with other women because I think that we are so segmented that people don't really understand what are you talking about when I say like mind, body, and soul, and it's like so tagline now, everybody uses it, and I'm like, and I'm like, wait, you're still missing it. Like, it's not about mindfulness. It's literally the experience of all of them coming into alignment. So I would love to hear more. Like, you told me about your fitness space, you told me about your spirituality. What type of like mentality practices or mindfulness practices? Prayer obviously could be a part of that. How do you keep your headspace in where it needs to be in order to pursue what it is that you guys are doing?
Honestly, journaling.
Ooh, okay.
Like I'm not a writer other than like creative writing. I'm in school and I honestly hate writing papers. Like I'm just not that kind of person. But at the same time, like it's when I journal though, like I just feel that like renewed mind. You know, scripture talks about like renew your mind daily, and I really feel like that's like something that is overlooked because it's easy to first thing you wake up is look at your phone.
Sure.
Like the first thing you do is like compare yourself with Instagram, or if you first thing you do is go on social media, like that is just like setting yourself up for the day. Like I think that it's really important to set yourself up, like start your day with how you want your day to be, and starting your day with the word like is the best way you can start the day. Because number one, waking up early, even though I'm not that much of an early person, like starting your day early and giving that quiet time with God, it really can set your mind and focus on what is really important in this day, because there's a lot of things that like at work you can just get tired and exhausted, and it's like you can do those things that make you less, like don't hold up that standard, you know, for like even quality lady, you know, like those things that you wouldn't do if you had the right mind. You're in your mind, you're like, oh, this is not what I would want to do. But sometimes we do the things we just don't want to do just because it's like habit and we're just tired, right? Exactly. But I think that the most important thing like that I try to work on is being intentional with that time in the morning. Because when I start my day with that, like throughout the day, like I've really been realizing like to make the conscious decision to be like Christ, you have to make that decision in that moment. Because a lot of times we do what we feel, and we're like, I feel angry right now, I'm just going to snap at this person. But it takes having to fight that and be like, no, that is not Christ, that's me. And like having to take those minds like, oh, but it takes training your mind like to even be aware that you're about to do something like that.
So true.
Like, so honestly, it's kind of like for me, like it's all like I love that you're talking about the mind thing, because like it is in that moment. Like the mind is not just like, oh, being mindful all the time. Like it's in that moment having to be like, who am I? Like, who am I going to be? Am I going to be like Christ in this situation? I don't know. Anyway, those are one of the things that I love is journaling, because it really sets me up for that and being able to get my thoughts out, and then also like see how God like is like working. Because when you look back 5 years from now, you look at it, you're like, whoa, look at all the answered things that God like.
It's so
wow,
true.
like it's crazy. But
I love that. That's a great practice. How about you?
I know for me, journaling for sure, but I'm a writer, so I don't
journals
like another. And I'm very specific with my journals, so I'm like, it has to be the right one.
Yes, you have to like
the
feel
one?
the journal.
You know,
I love that.
And then, but for me, I always think of, I want to say it's Luke chapter 4. I was literally just reading this morning. Where it talks about how Jesus went, and he went to a solitary place early in the morning to be with God and pray. And for me, I think that has kind of been something I've held on to as far as just thinking about that personal connection with God has been, if Jesus, who is God, had to go away and meet with him and set that time apart with him first thing in the morning, I'm pretty sure I probably need to do that too. I'm pretty sure that I could use a little bit of that. So that's kind of been like something that I have just abided in my own walk of going, okay, this is the core of my whole life, because that first initial connection with the purpose of my life in the morning is going to, like you said, set the rest of the day up for moving in that direction towards him. Because if first thing we do when we wake up is get on our phone or start looking at our emails or whatever, it's directing our compass to walk in that direction. But when we wake up first thing in the morning and the first thing we do is close our eyes right back up and start praying to God, or open up our Bible that's sitting right there and just start reading the Word. The Word for me is such a big thing. I love the Word. And I think another thing is we're all students at Liberty University online, and I'm majoring in religion, and so that's the focus of my studies is the scripture. Cool. And so for me, that's just like I just soak that up, and I think that's actually another thing God has used in my life since I've been in school has been the Word and the study of it, and that I just can't get enough of that. So for me, that's it.
Cool. I love that.
Yeah, for me, it's just been a lot of quiet. Last year, I actually struggled with a lot of anxiety, and I never experienced it, especially at the level that I was. And one of the things that really helped me was to be quiet and to do check-ins with myself. Basically going I feel so overwhelmed right now, and then writing all those things down. What do you feel overwhelmed about? What is consuming your mind? And write all of the areas basically that I just didn't like, and just be honest and then write them down, and then go, okay, now I'm going to look at this and go, what can I do about it? And for me, one thing that God really spoke to me that helped me a lot was that thankfulness is the root of joy. And so in a very anxious season of my life, I felt like my joy had been stolen from me because I was so worried all the time. And so just being quiet and listening for God's voice, and then finding thankfulness in literally everything. And I just started thanking God for every little thing. And I just found my joy returned, and I felt like I was thinking clearer and more positive thoughts. And and also just focusing on one thing. I think we have our minds wander so much, but just being able to come in, and even in our walk and relationship with the Lord, we're God, give me something new every single day. And it's you're going to forget that 30 minutes from now.
That's so true.
And so, one thing he really has been training me on is to not be ADD in all areas of my life, and even in my relationship with him, but to sit on one thing for the whole week, and to sit on that thing, so that it's not just here today, gone tomorrow, but I have literally, I chewed on it, I've swallowed it, and now I've let it really nourish me. And so thankfulness is the root of joy. It has been really a mindset that I've tried to hang on to for a long time.
That's so good. I think mine is a kind of a combination, but the gratitude practice for sure in the morning, and before I get on my social media, before my feet even hit the ground. I'm a super early riser, so I do the gym before my babies wake up, because otherwise there would be no time to do it. And I am the same. I look at the clock, I'm perfect, and I just close my eyes right back, because that's where I know before my feet hit the ground, I'm gonna thank God that I have the ability to even stand up and get to the gym, that my body moves, that my family is safe and sound in a comfortable home and sleeping well and healthy, and all of those things. And I think that stems into the rest of your day and the mindset that you have towards all the things coming your way.
Oh yeah, because we can get really hard on ourselves, because we didn't take that step. Well, at the end of the night, you're going through, because for me, I pray every night too, and I'm if I don't take that time in the morning, I'll look at the whole day and be like, wow, I really missed it there. Be like, if I would have just done my devotions in the first place, I would have been more aware. I could have been more aware. I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I'll get hard on myself because I didn't live up to that standard that I set for myself and the standard God has for me.
Yeah.
And so like, if I don't do that in the morning, then you don't know what God could have I mean, God's always going to speak to you.
Oh,
it's not
but revealed to you right out the gate.
Yes, like you could have already been aware of what was happening in that situation.
Good.
And then by the end of the day, being like, I gave everything I had to the Lord, and that's enough.
Yeah, that's so good. I really love the chewing on one thing for like the whole week. I don't, other than if I'm in like a Bible study and we're like going through something, I think that's a challenge and a conviction for myself because I'm probably an ADD. I'm like, what do you got today? Like, what do you do? And so I'm going to take that to heart. I have a girlfriend who, for the beginning of this year, she just really wanted to dive into the personality of God. And so she has just been like going through and she'll call me and tell me like, well, this is what I revealed today. And I'm like, that's so good. And so for her, it's not even necessarily that God isn't teaching her something new that day. It's just that the overarching concept is the same. And so if she just pursues after that, he's going to have the opportunity to reveal different things. So I'm going to try that. That's good. So I'm like, I don't know, I feel like we could keep talking. I know that there's so much to come. I'm used to just having one person, so I feel like I get to go really deep. I feel like we touch the surface on a lot of things. So I'm excited to see as Roy3ls continues to unfold and your each individual paths kind of just get ignited in that. For us to individually have time to do this and get to know one another, because I feel honored that I got all of you at one time. So thank you. But like, I'm excited for your adventure. I'm excited to see the why behind our intent of meeting and running into each other. And we're shared writers, so I have to talk to you all things book. They just opened a new Barnes & Noble at Town Center that I had a girlfriend tell me yesterday was the most beautiful bookstore she's ever walked in. So that is on my to-do list. I love a good bookstore.
Hers too.
I love a good bookstore. But yeah, so I'm just really looking forward to it, and I'm grateful for you all, and it's amazing to me when I have the opportunity to interact with women who have that shared heart, that it just makes me so thrilled for the kingdom that like there's more of us. And we're multiplying.
We're everywhere.
It's so good. I want to come see your RV. Are you guys at KOA? Is that where you're at? Okay, so that neighborhood, that's where the one that was like literally right there. I was born in, well, I say born, four to adulthood. I moved back in there with my husband, raised my babies in that neighborhood. We were on the jumping pillow. That's where we would jump all the time. That's where my son learned how to climb like a monkey outside of the playground. So I'm very familiar with the KOA. Every time I think of it, though, it makes me think of a childhood memory. I used to go and steal candy from the store there. We lived in the back of the neighborhood, and I would get on my bike with my parents would leave. And
They're why they got a security guy.
There was no security when I was little. We would get on our bikes and we would go up, and it's horrible, isn't it horrible? So my parents caught me one time, and finally I had to go like replenish with some money that was their money. But regardless, I always feel really convicted when I think of KOA.
Every time I go back there, I remember my money. That is so wait, and I think I remember a young girl that looks like you.
I'm much more seasoned and honest now. That's good. But I will come by and see you guys because I think that would be really fun. Meet the whole family. Have Taco Tuesday. It would be very fun. I got to meet this sweet cheek niece of yours. What's her name? Lucy. Well, I don't often close out in prayer, but we didn't open in prayer like I usually do. So I just feel like we should just consummate this time in a beautiful way. God, I thank you so much for these women. I thank you that you always are ahead of us and you knew that this was going to happen before we even did, Lord. I thank you that each of these women have their own individualized testimony that is bringing together in sisterhood a message that is going to penetrate the hearts of women everywhere. God, that you are calling us higher, that you are calling us to a state of being a quality lady, a royal daughter in your priesthood, Lord. God, I thank you for the listeners today, that whoever chimed in or chimes in the future, Lord, that they would just hear your heart, that they would not feel convicted or shameful or comparing themselves in any way, shape, or form, Lord, but that they would just know that they are called into the same relationship that we have, that they have, the intimacy of their sisterhood, Lord. They are welcome, and we are just so grateful that you sent your Son to die for us, Lord, that the bloodline of the Lamb is ownership of each of ours, and that we have the ability to just be in contact with you, in relationship with you on a daily basis, minute by minute. I thank you for this precious time and these sweet women. In your precious name we pray. Amen. Yay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys have to download their music.
I'm Tamra Andress. I'm your Fit and Faith host, and I am so excited to just be here to share with you other movers, dreamers, shakers, entrepreneurs, pastors, whatever. If you've got a head and you've got a heart, I'm so excited to explore who that is, whose you are, and discover your wholeness, your health, your wealth, and your joy. I love to exude happiness. I want people to know that this is not, this came with trial. You guys, this came with a lot of effort. This came with a lot of lows and so many highs. And I want us to experience those together. This is a real community of dreamers, and I'm excited to help catapult your calling, your kingdom experience, the purpose of your imprint on the world, wherever, however that is. So come along for the ride. I'm excited to chat with you. Like, comment, review, send me a DM, send me an email. It's me responding, even though I have an incredible team. And so I'm just excited to get to know you. Let's connect, let's create community, and let's walk in our calling.